Ayan, and now we are live. Medyo atat ako kanina at napangunahan ng intro, di ba? As a video. So, hi, hello, magandang tanghali. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another session of Career Talk Thursdays. I'm Roan and I'll be your host for today. So, ito na yung pang 16th session natin. And this afternoon, we will be talking about preparing for an interview at a top firm. So, para ito sa mga fresh grads, Gen Zs, or young millennials na gustong malaman paano ba tayo mas magiging prepared sa isang job interview, di ba? Lalo na ngayon, sobrang competitive ng market natin. So, wag na natin patagalin. Let's all welcome our guest speaker for today. She's the Recruitment Manager at Shearwater Health. So, let's give it up for Miss Fenina Simando. Hi, Miss Nina.
Hello, good morning, everyone, or is it good afternoon? Anyway, it's
Ayan.
still good morning at some part of
Oo.
the world,
Oo.
and for us, it's always a good morning. Hi, Roanne.
Mm.
Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Hello.
I'm so excited to be here. Ayun. Thank you so much
Ayan.
for the
So,
invitation.
meron na tayong 45 live viewers ngayon and huwag kayong mahiya na magtanong dahil magiging tanungan lang to at isipin nyo na barkada nyo lang kami na pwede nyo mapagtanungan na parang bro, sis, ganyan. Meron akong job
Correct.
interview next week, anong pwedeng gawin? Ganon. So, bago tayo mag-start sa discussion natin for today, mas kilalanin muna natin si Miss Nina, di ba? So, Miss Nina, can you briefly share your college life back then and konting overview about your career journey?
Oh my gosh, that would take us a couple of decades back. Oops, parang marireveal ko pa yung age ko. Wag na lang mag-compute. Let's just assume na lahat tayo over 18 dito. No? Ayun. So, um, there are a lot of stark differences in terms
Oo.
of panahon ko. Hello, can you hear me? Hi, Roanne. I'm
Hello,
not sure if
naririnig ko,
you.
naririnig ko.
Ayun, perfect. Yun. So back to our memory lane. No? Back then it was a bit different. I lived in a time wherein the internet wasn't yet around, or it was already around, but it was just starting. I guess for our kids nowadays, or for our generation now, the word dial up is already unknown, right? When we would buy cards and try to connect to the internet. So suffice it to say that during that time, during our college days, this platform and the opportunity to really get tips and information on how to start your career, how to go through interviews, how to create resumes, they weren't available yet. So, sariling tayo because that time, yun nga, the internet wasn't yet that big. It wasn't available yet to everyone. So, back then, when I was in college, what we would do, or after college, bulletin, there would be a Manila Bulletin Sunday edition. And then back then, we would look at the classified ads. Tapos we would that we are interested in, and then we would encircle them and then plot yung mga companies that we would like to apply for, and uh, literal that we would really do the legwork. So we would create our resumes, we would do the legwork, and we would apply at these companies. So yun. That shifted when the market became a bit competitive. So there was an idea from companies na instead of the graduates coming to us,
Ayan.
why don't we reach out
Mm.
to the graduates? Yun. So that started yung mga campus recruiting. There would also be more campus engagement. Companies would reach out and do talks such as this na there would be a campus tour. Back then, during my time, when we say campus tour, artista ka, magko-concert ka. Now, for companies, when you say campus tour, you would go around literally to the campuses and do recruitment activities, engage with the students, and generally just uh, help them out land a career in the industry that they would like to belong to. So yun yung I guess the best way to describe how it was during my time was really it was all analog versus now everything is digital. So with the advent of a faster internet connection, it's easier to have to utilize and to maximize that platform to reach more people, to reach more graduates, and to help out more job
Mm.
seekers. Ayun. Medyo naalala ko.
Ayun.
Ayun.
Oo, grabe grabe yung time na sa classified ads 'no. Though,
Yes.
hindi ko siya na-try pero, nakikita ko rin siya sa Diaryo ganyan. And ngayon sobrang accessible na talaga ng lahat sa internet 'no. Kaya
Correct.
#blessed na talaga yung mga Gen
Yes.
Zs natin ngayon 'no, na yung, trabaho talaga yung, possibly lumapit sa kanila. And siyempre 'di ba itong mga katulad nito na resources gusto natin i-offer kasi ayaw na natin pagdaanan nila yung struggles na
Yes. They have
dinanas
that,
natin
diba?
before, 'di ba? Oo. So ayan, siyempre 'di ba, gusto rin natin magkaroon ng more insights kung ano ba yung impact ng interview sa job application. So, tanong ko sa'yo Miss Nina, gaano ba kaimportante ang interview sa isang job application? Kino-consider ba 'to na make or break sa isang recruitment perspective?
Um, Interviews are very important. Yun ang long and short answer ko dun. Kasi if you guys have ever been in ito lang yung analogy ko eh. Para magkaroon ng um, a deeper understanding sa importance ng interviews. I'm sure that for many of us who've been in relationships before, right? Romantic relationships or maybe platonic relationships. So whenever we enter into any relationship, there is always that getting to know stage. And it's a very critical and important stage in any relationship. Now, if you're looking for work, if you're looking for a job, if you want to start a career, you will be entering into another relationship, which is the employer-employee relationship. So that's why interviews are very important. Kasi, yun yung getting to know stage eh. Diba? When before you start the relationship, it starts with one hello. Sabi nga ng kanta. Although I'm not sure kung naabutan niyo yung kanta na yun. It starts with one hello. Malahot.
Alam ko
Nakakalimutan
'yun.
ko yung again. Oh, thank you. Ayan, so it starts with one hello. Now, it's also the same thing with looking for work. It starts with that um, conversation. And I would also like to demystify yung mga interviews. Kasi maraming, may interview ako tomorrow. Or, oh my gosh, na-scheduled ako for interview. Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ano sasabihin ko? So, let's demystify interviews. Interviews are nothing but conversations. Yun lang naman yun. When you go out on dates, di ba, mag-uusap kayo, you get to know each other. So it's also the same thing with interviews. When you go to an interview, you are there para ipakilala yung sarili mo, and the interviewer is there representing the company para ipakilala din nila yung sarili nila sa iyo. So it's a two-way process. It's a conversation. It's nothing but a conversation really between you and the company that you would like to get into a relationship with. Professional relationship ah. Let me just make myself clear na professional relationship siya. So, yun lang it's very important because it's the getting to know you phase. Yun. So it's a chance for you to display or to showcase your skills, your competencies um, that are related to the job. And it's also a chance for the company to showcase to you what they can offer. Kung swak ba yung
Mm.
values nyo, kung swak ba yung hinahanap mo at hinahanap nila. So, yun yung purpose ng interviews. Is it make or break? Depende. Kasi there are different parts of the recruitment process din. Pero it's important because there's an idiomatic expression na yung isang paa mo nasa loob na ng pinto. So that's what interviews are for. Yun. Pero sabi ko nga kanina, there are various stages in the recruitment process which would validate the different skills and competencies that the
Mm.
company is looking for.
So,
Pero critical
kung
po yun.
sobrang ay sorry. Mm. So, kung sobrang importante niya, paano mo masasabi na successful ang isang job interview?
If you get hired, long and short, if you
Sana
get hired,
naririnig
pero
ako ngayon at kapit lang internet.
can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, I'm still here.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, all right. But to answer Luann's question earlier, how would we know if an interview is successful? Um, well, again, the long and short of that is if you get hired or if you move on to the next stage in the process. However, any interview for me is a learning experience. So pwedeng you didn't exactly move on to the next stage in the process, or you didn't get the job that you're looking for. However, you learn a lot of things during an interview, right? So number one, uh, if for example you're prone to get really nervous to get really nervous during interviews. Any interview that you go through is a learning experience for everyone. So I always believe that for skills, it's something that you can train for. So that means that the more interviews you go through, the better it is for you because you keep getting better and better. For me, an interview is successful even if you didn't get the job or if you didn't get to move on to the next stage in the process. If you, as I mentioned earlier, you learn something from it, right? May mga questions na same din naman na tinatanong, especially at the onset of the interview. So most interviewers would ask that question. So it's a chance for you to practice it. So, the more na na-interview ka, the more na gumagaling ka sa pagsagot ng mga interviews. And eventually, since you become better at answering questions, mas tumataas din yung chances mo at getting the job that you really want. So, yun. Maximize all your resources as much as possible, especially if you're a first-time job seeker or this is the first time that you're gonna go for interviews. Make sure na submit ka lang ng submit ng mga CVs sa mga jobs that you want to apply for so that you'd have a good way to practice your interview skills, your answering skills, so to speak.
Ayan po. Pasensya na po, hindi po ako nang-ghost. At mahina talaga ang wifi. So,
Medyo sanay naman kami sa ganun.
hala, parang
Nag-ghost
iba
kami
na
kung
ata.
minsan.
Parang iba na ata yun. Pero true naman yun, di ba? Yung mga nag-a-apply tapos nagustuhan ng employer tapos hindi na magpaparamdam, di ba?
Masakit mang aminin pero nangyayari talaga yun.
Oo.
Pero
So,
naiintindihan din naman namin.
So, dun mo, syempre, di ba, makikita mo na hindi pala kayo match. Ganyan. So,
Yes, oo.
so,
Not every.
so, nasa interview preparation na tayo, no? Medyo kailangan ko lang mag-keep up sa discussion dahil hindi keep up ang internet dito sa Baguio. So, nakikita ko sa live viewers natin, merong taga University of Baguio. So, shout out sa inyo. Sobrang lamig dito ngayon. At,
Hindi
ayan.
naman ang konting lamig dyan.
Ay, oo nga. Sobrang
Medyo
init sa
hot ang
Manila,
mga
no?
people dito, yes.
Wow! Hot. So, napag-usapan na yung kung paano ba natin maiwasan kabahan, tama ba? Sa interview?
The lessons that we learned, or, I'm sorry, hindi pala
Okay.
lessons. Ano ba yun?
Paano masasabing
Paano
successful
masasabing
ang isang...
successful?
Okay.
Yes.
So, ayun. So, nakakip up na po ako sa discussion natin.
Sige.
At ayan, pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon kung paano ba tayo mas magiging prepared para sa isang job interview. Kasi nakita natin na sobrang importante ng job interview, di ba, sa isang application para magkaroon talaga ng job offer. So, iisa-isahin na natin yung questions natin dito sa preparation kung paano ba natin may iwasang kabahan. Kasi 'di ba parang ino-overthink natin na nakakakaba nga kung baka meron tayong masabi na hindi pala okay para sa mga recruitment officer, ganyan. Kung meron ba tayong practical ways or routine na para mas maging prepared tayo for an interview. Ayan.
Yes. Anyone going into battle needs to be prepared. So preparation is key sa kahit anong um, laban, ika nga, sa kahit anong bagong endeavor na you would be going. So usually, and this is important especially for those who are not yet graduating students, the preparation really lies as early as college. Or yung mga 2-year courses, or basta once you're still in school, you have to take advantage. Sabi nga nila, school is the preparation for the next stage, which is building a career. Now, hindi pa huli ang lahat, especially those who are not yet graduating. The preparation really is the things that you learn in the four corners of your classroom. Pero more than that, yung mga extracurricular activities, socio-civic organizations that you join, anything that you do outside of the classroom for as long as legal and sanctioned ng school, at it won't get you into any trouble with the authorities, that will help you prepare for the interview. Bakit? Tanungin niyo ako kung bakit. Okay, ako na magtatanong bakit.
Bakit Miss Nina?
Ayun. Kasi, di ba during an interview, you have to talk. So, kung kinakabahan kang magsalita, and you're part of an organization, and you're active, and you get to know a lot of people, you gain that confidence to talk to people from different walks of life. You're used to that. Going through an interview would also be the same thing. You talk to a stranger. And if talking to a stranger is something that's intimidating to you, edi mag-practice ka sa organization mo. Go out, meet your community. Ganon. Next is, if you're a fresh grad, usually you cannot talk about work experience because you don't have any experience yet. However, you can talk about your leadership skill, especially if you handle key positions in your organization. Or you can talk about project management kung nag-initiate ka ng mga projects in your organization. Halimbawa, put together ka ng cleanup drive or nag-put together ka ng mga debates, or any activity that you organized, coordinated, and executed, it's something that you can highlight during the interview. Why? Dahil interviewers are looking for people who are proactive. Interviewers are looking for people who are driven. Interviewers are looking for people who can be team players. And joining organizations, being active in these organizations, they prove that you are that person. So if you're a first time job seeker, you don't have work experience yet, highlight all the things that you did outside of the academic. Um, Also, if you did well in school, you need to highlight that as well, because it proves that you were able to finish something, and that it also proves your commitment, which is also something that is very important in for interviewers. Yun, commitment. Hindi yung mga after several days nahirapan lang sa trabaho, resign agad. Diba? So those are the things that are critical. Pero kung halimbawa graduating ka na, and you no longer have time to join organizations, diba? How do you prepare for an interview? Number one is you you research the company that, and this is also for everyone. You research the company that you're interested in. Right now, parang it's no longer acceptable na mag-apply ka and you don't know anything about the company, because that information is at your fingertips. You Google, you search on Glassdoor, on JobStreet, may mga feedback yan. They have their website that tells about the company. So you rin yung internet for that one. So that's number one. Number two is check out the job advert. Andun yung mga competencies, skills, and behaviors needed, experience needed, that would tell you if you're a right fit for the job. And then you build on that one. They're looking for someone who has good analytical skills. Ano ba yung experience ko that would prove that I have good analytical skills? What experience do I have that would prove that I have good decision-making skills? What are some of the things that would prove that I'm a good team player? So yun yung number two. Make sure that the person that you're looking for through the job description and the job ads, ikaw yun, swak yun, di ba? Just like in dating sites, naghahanap sila, I'm looking for ganito, ganyan. So again, titingnan mo yung sarili mo, susuriin mo yung sarili mo, ako ba to? Kami na ba? Made for each other na ba? Or meant for each other na ba? So, yun din yan. It's also practically the same thing. Next is you practice. Again, the internet is filled with all sorts of questions that are being asked during the interview. So, pwede mo siyang isa-isahin. Tapos, before going through the interview, magnilay-nilay ka na, pag-isipan mo, you write things down, and look for a good answer. So there are also fora available on the internet that will give you tips from professional job seekers or those who have been through that already, so they can give you tips and you can write those down. Pero don't memorize naman word for word na parang during the interview would sound robotic. So you practice that para coming in, you already have an idea of the questions that are going to be asked so that you'll be able to prepare for it. Next is buddy up with a friend. Diba? If you're a fan of sports, if you're a fan of you know artista or K-pop idols, diba? These folks, it takes years to be an overnight sensation. Diba? In K-pop especially, the idols, they spend at least 4 years preparing for their debut. If you're a sports fan, you know that it takes at least 10,000 hours of practice before someone becomes good at what they do. And these folks, they take a look, they video their performances, yung mga games nila, and they break it apart and analyze everything. So I'm not saying that you need to go through 10,000 interviews or 10,000 hours of interviews or wait for 4 years before you land a job. But my point here is um, you have to be aware of how you look like during an interview. So buddy up with a friend if you can video yourself, record yourself during a mock interview. it will be a big help. Bakit? Number one, you would be able to catch your facial expressions. Some of us, we don't know that we look mataray. Di ba? Akala natin, I'm a nice person naman, pero people react to me negatively. Bakit kaya? Take a video of yourself while you are talking so that you would know how you look like. Di ba? Also, there will be a lot of things that you would notice, like, oh my God, I have a lot of fillers pala. Every sentence ko, I have there. So you can correct it. You can catch yourself and you can correct it. Next is you could also notice the tone of your voice so you can modify it, your body language. Masyado pala ako nagsislouch during the interview. So I can correct my posture. Because again, posture, everything, your behavior, your body language, these things are taken into consideration during the interview. So ayun, you could take a video of yourself, prepare, and also your body should be a trusted friend who would give you feedback. But you also have to be receptive to feedback. Baka naman end of friendship kayo, sinabihan ka lang na, friend, I think better na sabihin mo ganito, tapos nagalit ka, tapos wala na. Nabawasan ka ng friend, di ba? So, yun. You have to be receptive to feedback as well. So that's one of the things that I usually say to everyone who would want to go through interview. And I'm coming from a place wherein I also was a job seeker, and I've interviewed a lot of people as well. So hindi ko pala na-mention kanina na I started my vocation in recruitment as early as 2007. So
Mm.
imagine how many people I spoke with, how many interviews I've conducted, and all the tips that I'm saying right now, it's really from that experience. The things that I noticed from job seekers, and the things that I noticed from the people I spoke with. So, ito yun. Yun.
So, basically, yung mga nabanggit mo, Miss Nina, para na rin siyang confidence building eh. Kasi 'di ba, pag alam mo yung ginagawa
Yes.
mo, confident ka. So, ang tanong ko na lang ngayon is paano mo masasabi na confident yung isang interviewee sa isang job interview as a recruitment manager?
Mhm. Um, I think the first question there with okay lang ba nakabahan ka? And I say that
Mm.
yes. It's perfectly fine, di ba? Anything that is that could potentially change your life, anything that you do that could potentially change your life, okay lang nakabahan ka. Ngayon, nakabahan din naman ako kasi um, what do you call this? A lot of people would listen in and dissect everything that I say. So, syempre, nakabahan ka. It's a normal human reaction. But I always believe that anything that excites you and scares you at the same time is worth it. So, ano nga ba yung tanong? So,
Paano mo masasabi na confident ang isang
ayun.
interviewee?
Confident yung isang interviewee if coming in that person was able to prepare, that person would be able to anticipate the questions and would be able to answer all the questions. And more importantly, coming in, that person also has questions to ask. Yung and apart from that, the person is not afraid to make mistakes during the interview. Ayun. So, meron tayo, again, this is, interviews are just conversations, no?
Mm.
So, it's okay to make mistakes during the interviews because human as we are prone to do that. Yun. So, an interview does not have to be perfect. When you say it's a perfect interview, that means both parties, the questions and the answers were satisfied. Yun. That would be it. Pero in terms of, saying that a candidate must not be nervous during an interview, I think that would be, um, for lack of a better term, asking for too much. Kasi you're talking to a stranger, so you're going through something that could again, as I mentioned earlier, potentially change your life. So okay lang nakabahan ka. confident ka if, again, you're prepared. So preparation really is key. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yun nga, no, na okay din talaga na may tanong sa dulo and para
Mm-mm.
ah, hindi lang siya one-way communication kasi getting to know nga, di ba? Na dapat
Oo.
parang ipakita mo na interesado ka rin talaga na malaman yung mga information na hindi natin makikita sa internet like yung culture ng company, di ba? Kasi
Yes, importante yun.
kasi yun, experiential yun, di ba? So, yun yung isa sa okay din na matanong natin. And ito, sobrang usual nito para sa mga job seekers kung ano ba yung best personal advice on how to overcome interview anxiety? Kung paano ba ma-handle yung mental block? Kasi syempre, di ba, usual lang naman yun na nagulat ka sa tanong kaya hindi mo
Mm-mm.
alam kung anong sasagutin mo. So, paano ba natin i-handle yon and paano rin ma-lessen yung stutters during a job interview?
Mm-mm. I'm not exactly a scientist, hindi din ako
Mm.
biology graduate. Pero based on what I've read, heard, and experienced so far, these are physical reactions. Mental block, stuttering, these are physical reactions when you're unsure or when um, you're not that when you have anxiety or apprehension. So based from experience, and this is an advice that I've given out to a lot of people, and they said that the feedback is it works. You have to be you have to know what goes on in your body during that situation, right? Now, mental block is if I remember correctly, and please do do the research on this as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's when you don't get enough oxygen to your brain, so you can think properly, right? You become so anxious that you don't your brain lacks oxygen, so you lose focus as well. So in order for us to alleviate that, number one is regulate your breathing. Don't forget to breathe. Baka bigla na lang matalim ka na. Hindi maganda yun.
Napa-CPR pa yung interviewer.
Naka-CPR pa, hindi maganda yun. So, chances are, hindi ka matatanggap. Yun. So, regulate your breathing. Make sure that you are aware. Before coming in, it's good that you slowly breathe in through your nose and breathe in and breathe out through your mouth. So, bilang kayo, yun, mga ilang beses yung gawin yun
Ginawa
para
ko rin talaga, no?
ma-feel. Di ba? Di ba it
Effective.
feels better? Oo. Yun, so, kakalma ka. Yung
Mm.
ganon. So, pag kalmado ka na, make sure din that you drink enough water para hindi ka dehydrated. If na-anticipate mo, especially now that there are already face-to-face interviews and we anticipate that there will be a lot of candidates who will be interviewed as well. Pre-pandemic, we used to handle or we used to interview some 30 to 60 depending candidates depending on the requirement. Um, sorry, I also forgot to say that I worked for the longest time in the BPO sphere. Yun. So, yun pala yung ano, yung ina-expect kanina, no, na hindi ko naibigay. So, I worked in the BPO sphere for the longest time. That means to say that my experience is mainly, or majority of my experience is on volume hiring. So that meant interviewing candidates from 30 to 60 to 100 plus on a daily basis. Now, it's normal for candidates to wait for a couple of hours. Sometimes they wait for 4 hours for their turn. And during that time, magugutom ka talaga. So, bring um, a water container, a water bottle. Normally naman in offices, they allow you to refill your water bottle. But it would be good if you have your own water bottle. Or if you're at home, make sure that you're hydrated and drink water. Pero wag naman masobrahan. Baka during the interview, you have to excuse yourself because you have to, you know, answer the call of nature. Yun. So regulate that as well. And next is if unless you're diabetic, it would be good if you eat some chocolates before an interview. The sugar rush and the sugar high would help you stay alert, and it would also, these are happy hormones, tama ba?
Hormones.
Yeah, happy hormones. So during that period, during the interview, you're on that sugar high, and that would allow you to, you know, be perkier, be cheerful, so hindi ka masyadong sluggish. But again, please check with your doctor, especially if you have sugar issues or blood sugar related issues, because we don't want you to um, have any adverse effect on your health. Yun. So those are the things that normally you could do. Again, it's understanding the whole physical or physiological aspect of what happens during that time when you get anxious. Yun.
Mm.
Tapos, this helps me as well when I try to focus. So again, let go of everything, tapos focus. So if you're into meditation, that would help. If you're a religious person, it doesn't matter. Kung, just if you want to pray, definitely that would help as well, because that would help you focus as well. And this is also something that I would advise, because this has also helped me even way back when I was still in school. It's what you call the frame of mind. My mom taught me this, and eventually I got to, doing some research and reading stuff on this as well. It's claiming something that it's yours. Yun. So you focus, and you picture yourself in a successful interview, or answering questions in a very confident manner, and it helps. So you need frame of mind, having cultivating that positive attitude, and it would also help you during the interview process, because interviewers would see you as a very positive person. Um, human as we are, interviews can get to be or become very subjective as well. So people tend to relate more to folks who have a positive outlook in life. People tend to like more people who smile. You asked earlier how we can prevent stutters, right? Stutters are caused by muscles here. So if you smile, it would help. What do you call that? It would help your muscles here to keep that from stuttering. So mapipigilan siyang magganon, di ba? Pag kinakabahan ka, parang gumaganon yung ano mo, yung bibig mo. Pero pag nakasmile ka ng ganon, um, medyo napipigilan siya. So, that would hit two birds with one stone. Mas receptive yung mga interviewers to people who smile more, and it would help you prevent stutter. Medyo marami yung sabi ko sa
Mm.
and
Oo.
sana makatulong.
Sobrang dami kong nag-grasp dun sa points na sinabi mo, Miss Dina, lalo na yung claiming the success. Yung term ng mga kabataan ngayon ay #manifest mo na yan, ganun.
Iba na pala,
Manifest.
yes.
Oo, grabe no.
Pero
Ang bilis
yes,
magbago ng mga terminologies ng mga kabataan. I-manifest nyo na yan,
correct.
ganun. Tapos, yun dun sa meditation, sobrang real nun for me, lalo na nung fresh grad ako. Kasi naghanap ako ng app, mobile app. So, may masasuggest din ako na i-try nyo yung Headspace. I-search nyo lang yun sa Google Play or sa Apple Store. And nakatulong siya, though hindi ako natanggap dun sa work na yun. Pero parang mas naging confident ako dahil yun nga, parang yung ginawa natin kanina, yung breathing exercise, ayun, sobrang effective niya. Kaya
Pampakalma talaga, di ba?
oo, nung nagkukuwento kami ni Nina, parang ano eh, napa-flashback ako eh. Wow, throwback yarn. So
Throwback.
ayun,
Thursday.
oo.
Sana tayo mag-throwback.
Oo, kaya oo nga 'no, wow, hashtag natin yarn. So
Yes.
ayun, sobrang thank you sa insights mo, and sana talaga makatulong din 'to sa viewers natin ngayon, and sobrang active nila sa comment section na nagpapakilala from different universities. So shout out sa inyo. Ngayon naman, mas napag-usapan natin yung practical scenarios during a job interview. So, ngayon, let's talk about common interview questions. So, para sa'yo, Miss Nina, can you give some common interview questions? And kung ikaw ang interviewee, paano mo sasagutin? Wow. So, ano parang role play pala.
Role play. Yes. May
Ayan.
mock interview pala ngayon.
Oo.
Ayan. um, okay. So, let's go back again to the principle of the interviews. There may be different interview questions, pero again, the goal really is to get to know you. Common interview or common question that questions that are asked, yung pinakauna, the dreaded tell me something about yourself. Di ba? Parang it's very simple, pero it can set the tone for an interview. Meron mga recruiters that would add another sentence, and this is something that I use a lot. Tell me something about yourself that's not included on your resume. Diba? So it means that why do I ask this question, or why do most recruiters ask this question? Number one, it's supposed to be an icebreaker if you come in, especially for candidates who are very nervous. The most comfortable topic that you could talk about is yourself. Kasi ikaw yung subject matter expert sa sarili mo, di ba? Walang ibang tao. Makakapagsabi na, ay, mas kilala kita kesa sa iyo. Di ba? So, dapat mas kilala mo yung sarili mo kesa sa ibang tao. So, it's a question that you could answer the most comfortably. Now, it can both be, it could make or break the interview as well if you're not prepared for it. So, if it's something, you could talk about what you do during your spare time, pero make sure that you don't reveal too much information. Usually, hobbies or interests, yun, those are the things that you could supply or you could answer. It would give you an insight to your personal life as well. Yun. If there are socio-civic organizations that you're involved in, you could highlight that as well. Again, anything that's geared towards proving that you have the competencies that they are looking for, or the recruiters are looking for. Now, you could also talk about the highlights of your career, um, the highlights of, or currently what you are doing. If they did specifically say that you talk about something that's not included on your resume, so you could talk about what you're involved in at the present, and also some of your career aspirations, how you see yourself a couple of years from now. So that's the very first question that interviewers usually ask. Tell me something about yourself. Next is another question is what got you interested, or why are you interested in applying here? How did you learn about the hiring right now? That's there are a couple of things that interviewers would want to find out. Number one is the source, channel source, which is important in identifying which sources are successful, and also validating if you're a referral from a current employee, it's a way for them to validate that as well. Next would be they also would want to know if you did your research, right? They want to know if you um, at least read something about work. I learned about this from the job street ad, or from your website. So these are the things that I found out. Yan. So yun yung isa sa mga question. Tapos another one, if you are a fresh grad, they would talk about your experience in school. Um, what course did you pursue in college? Why did you take it? And sometimes this is something that kids are taken aback. Parang hindi nila in-expect yun. And you just have to really honestly answer why did you take up psychology, or why did you decide to pursue a degree in mass communications. Yun. Uh, Tapos they would ask you what your what you can contribute yun, to the company. So based from your experience. Tapos, um, interviewers would also ask you what your plans are for the next couple of years. This is to ascertain your commitment and also your if you're a flight risk. If, for example, you don't know what you want in life yet, so chances are you will keep on looking. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Yung soul searching naman and soul seeking, that's important for anyone. However, companies would invest in you. One thing that we have to understand is in any job that we apply for, companies would invest in you. From the moment they decide that they need someone, that they need to hire someone, they would pay, they would, the man hours, the recruiters conducting the interview, the papers, the internet connection, everything else costs. Everything costs money, diba? So they would invest in you. They would invest in your training. They would invest in the devices that they would send to you. So it's important that they get that return of investment as well. Usually, companies only get that return of investment after a year or a couple of years. So it's important for companies to know that you will be staying in that company for at least 1 year. Yun.
Yeah.
Meron ka bang
So,
question?
follow-up question na lang din sa common interview questions. Kung meron ka bang share na do's and don'ts na kung paano sagutin yung mga common interview questions na, for example, ano ba yung mga okay na itanong din sa interviewer or kung ano ba yung mga red flags
Mm-hmm.
na nakikita ng recruitment officer sa isang interview. Ayun.
Mm-hmm. Well, depending on the industry that you're applying for, there are a lot of BPO companies that are hiring right now. So for most BPO companies, number one you have to remember is always ask for the medium of communication. And usually at the onset, recruiters would say that you have to answer in English. So you have to make sure that you have to answer in straight English. Rule of thumb, pag sinimulan in Tagalog, tapusin in Tagalog. Pag sinimulan sa Ingles, tapusin sa Ingles. Yun yung ano, normally. Pero for most, really the medium of communication during interviews is in English, so you have to practice speaking that as well, making sure that you follow the basic rules of grammar. Um, is accent important? Again, it depends on the company that you're applying for. If they put premium on accent, especially if these are outsourcing companies, yes, that's important. So you have to practice that as well. Do's and don'ts number one is red flag is if someone does nothing but rant. Yung mga lahat na lang lumalabas sa bibig ay nega. Um, why did you leave your previous job? Eh kasi naman si ganito, si ganyan. Wala na ibang ano, kundi ganito, ganyan. Okay, naging ranting session yung interview. That's a red flag. Dahil pag ginawa mo yun sa kanila, chances are gagawin mo din yun sa amin. And nobody wants, to be the receiver of all these negative thoughts. Next is if you absconded from your previous job, nag-awol ka, or hindi mo tinapos yung contract mo, or
Hello?
I'm not sure, I may have seemed to,
Ayan.
ayan,
Hello?
okay.
Ayan,
Hi.
hi ulit. So, ayun,
Ako ba
sobrang
yung nawala?
hindi ko nga rin sure eh, kasi nag-freeze din yung sa'yo. So, ayun, sobrang real na real yung red flag na parang iba-badmouth mo yung previous work or kahit sino sa buhay mo, 'di
Kahit
ba?
sino sa
Kasi, oo, ayaw ng any company magkaroon ng bad reputation, 'di ba? So, ayun yung isa sa ano talaga, golden rule. Tama
Yes,
ba, Miss
iwasan maging
Nina?
marites.
Oo, 'di ba? So, siyempre 'di ba bawat company bound 'yan sa confidentiality, ganyan. So, respect na rin, 'di ba?
Respect, oo.
Oo.
Again, nagkaroon ka naman ng relationship with that company.
Mm.
So, I think you both benefited din naman. So, kung
Parang
ano
'pag
man
nag-break
talaga
kayo
yung
'no?
oo, ano na
Oh.
lang, be faithful to the absent. Sabi nga ni Stephen Covey. Kung nag-break
Grabe
kayo,
ang dami
move on na.
oo, daming pa wisdom, pahugot, charot. So, nasa last
Yun.
part na tayo. Siyempre 'di ba, gusto natin na may maibaon na mas maraming wisdom pa from our speaker, galing sa'yo Miss Nina. Kaya magtatanong kami from your experience, ganyan. So yung,
Gosh, parang
last two
kinabahan
last
ako
two
dun.
last two questions na lang. One thing na natutunan mo as a recruitment manager ngayon na sana alam mo na nung fresh grad ka pa lang?
From a job seeker's perspective ba to? Or
Yung parang sa pinagdaanan mo before, ay sana kung sanang alam ko to nung fresh grad ako, baka mas nadalian ako sa job application ko. Parang ganun. Parang realization mo over time, ganun.
um, yun, I think it's really practicing.
Mm.
Tapos, kasi nga, as I mentioned earlier, during my time, this these conversations are not were not available. So, hindi talaga siya I didn't know
Mm.
kung paano yung gagawin yung ganon. So, siguro kung that time I already knew na these are the things that I need to do, um, mas madali na research first. Kasi noon, ano din since yun nga, we got the information from newspapers, yung ganon, we would bring extra copies of our resumes.
Mm.
Tapos, every floor, susuyurin namin. Kung may so, bigay lang ng bigay hanggang sa may mag-contact sa'yo. Yung ganon.
Mm.
So, hindi ganon talaga ka-prepared coming
Mm.
in. Parang, sino nga ba tong nag-respond na to? Okay, sige. Bahala na si Batman. Yung ganon. Pupunta ako, bahala na si Batman doon.
Mm.
Tapos, another thing is yung resume. It's really important. Back then, blanco pa yung resume. Tapos, the format wasn't really that good. Pero again, yung resume kasi, I know that we're talking about interviews, but resume is like your business card. It gets you to that interview. So it gets you scheduled for an interview. So it's equally important as well that you prepare for that. So
Mm.
yun. And also, uh, siguro kung alam ko lang noon na I need to bring an extra pair of flat shoes when you go through interviews para hindi masyadong lumaki yung muscles ko sa
Mm.
legs kasi kakalakad ng kakalakad. Pero yun.
Mm.
Those are good learning experiences as well.
Mm. Na before 'no, hindi gano'n ka-accessible yung information. Unlike nowadays
Yes.
na talagang one click lang talaga. Kaya
Ayun, it's
andito
Ay, sorry.
sige ops lang.
Observation ko lang, observation ko lang, it's highly probable for a candidate to have, 4 interviews in a day, sunod-sunod. Kasi
Mm.
lahat virtual, di ba? So,
Oo.
ganun yun. Minsan wala lang waiting time. Kasi nga, again,
Mm.
accessible siya.
Tapos, yung last question natin, more of message na what is your message to college students, fresh grads, Gen Zs, or young millennials na hindi pa sure sa career or nagpaplano pa lang kung ano yung career nila?
Mhm. Number one is don't get to or don't feel too much pressure. It's okay if you don't know yet what you want out of life. Um, ako rin naman, nahanap ko pa din naman yung sarili ko. Kasi at any age, sometimes your aspirations change, your goals change, your priorities in life change. However, the most important thing and lesson that I've learned as well, at any point in our lives, for whatever you want to do or you want to happen, if you don't know yet what you want to do in your life, think about the legacy that you want to leave. How would you can start from there. Ano ba yung gusto kong, how do I want to be remembered? Pag ano, how do I want people to, or what would be the legacy, what would be the legacy that I would want to leave? Um, not just to my family, but to my friends as well, and the community and the society in general. From there, you could plot out, ito pala yung gusto ko. So, these are the career opportunities that I want to pursue. Parang sa akin din noon, I really didn't know what I wanted out of life. Parang, um, back then, the opportunities weren't really that big. Now it's more global. So it's common for someone in the Philippines to work with someone in other countries. So mas naging bukas yung mga opportunities. So did I start out and say after college I want to become a recruiter? No, not really. Pero I realized that I wanted to make an impact in other people's lives. And I realized that there's this fulfillment when you get to help other people um, make their dreams come true because they landed the careers of their choices and they're able to build on from an entry level job. Many of the folks that I spoke with when I was just starting out are now managers or they're leading their own teams. They've started their own businesses as well. And that to a recruiter is one of the biggest fulfillments, right? Being a recruiter sometimes is a vocation because it demands a lot from a person. It's very difficult. There are a lot of competencies that you need to hold to become an effective recruiter. However, at the end of the day, when you see that person, especially those who were who didn't have that many opportunities, but then they thank you because they somehow are able to put their brothers and sisters to school, give back to their parents. So those are the things that are really fulfilling for a recruiter. So there, think about the legacy that you would want to leave. That could be a good starting point. Sorry, ang dami ko na
Ayan.
namang sinabi.
Okey lang, as in sobrang ano, felt, 'di ba? Kasi yun nga kung ano yung gusto mong maging, legacy mo, kung paano ka maaalala ng mga tao. So, ayan sobrang thank you Miss Nina, sobrang dami namin natutunan today. Actually pati ako kahit na medyo ayoko na rin sabihin yung age ko, mukha lang akong bata. Pero
Basta we are
ayun,
all above
oo,
18 of legal
mm,
age to work.
oo,
Yun ang importante.
'yun, So ayan, gusto mo bang i-plug yung social media platforms ng Shearwater and kung meron kayong job opportunities available?
Yes, definitely. We are from Shearwater Health Advisors, and we're looking for clinicians who would want to work in our company. We are looking for USRNs, Philippine registered nurses as well. If you have an experience in coding, we have opportunities for you. We also are looking for USPTs. Also, we have academies. If you want to become a USRN but don't have the means to review and take the exam, we have what we call the NPLEX Academy. Um, we also have Medical Coding Academy for those who would want to become medical coders. Next week, we will be in Pampanga at the park in Radisson. So if you are there and you would like to meet us, we will be there on August 26 to 27. We'd love to meet you guys. Also, you can follow us on Facebook. We have our Facebook page. Just look for Shearwater Health. We're also on Instagram, LinkedIn, and the newest member of our social media group. We're also on TikTok. Yan.
TikTok.
So we'd love to meet you guys and interact with you as well.
So, ayan. Thank you so much. Ay,
There's
meron
a
pa. Okay.
question.
So,
Okay, nurse by profession. Do I read this or
ah, sige, pwede. Meron tayong question ng nurse by profession, ah, pero passed ng board exam and NCLEX. So, kung pwede mo lang pahapeon, Miss Nina. Kasi baka
um
meron tayong nanonood pa na ibang nurse by profession, di ba?
yes po, if you're a nurse by profession, and you have passed the NCLEX, then definitely you are part of the folks that we are looking for. So please
Mm.
send across your CVs. You can go to our Facebook page and send your resumes or send your inquiries through that. And our friendly recruiters will get back to you as soon as possible.
Ayan. So, pwede nyo rin ma-check yung job opportunities ng Shearwater Health sa Prospel site. Nandoon yung more
Yes.
information about the company. Meron din doon iba pang available na articles about the company. So, isang click lang talaga yan, di ba? So, ayan, ano na lang, reminders na lang for next week na meron tayo ulit, di ba? Career Talk Thursdays. Career planning, a step-by-step guide to planning your career from university. So, next week, magkikita tayo ulit. And don't forget to set up your profile on Prospel, ph.prospel.com. And don't forget to claim your e-certificate of attendance. Nalagay na natin lahat ng link sa comment section, pati yung link ng Shearwater Health na job opportunities. So ayan, that ends our Career Talk Thursdays preparing for an interview at a top firm. So thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, I'm your host, Roan. Follow us and stay tuned on our social media channels for updates. And kita-kits ulit next Thursday. So thank you so much ulit, Miss Nina. Sobrang
Thank you.
laking tulong. Para sa mga kids. Wow.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.